Born in the Texas Hill Country, Kerrville, Texas, Joe learned the game as a young caddy in his hometown. He perfected his game while serving in the Air Force during the late 1940s, first breaking 70 during that period. Joe played college golf at Trinity University in San Antonio, graduating in 1952. He turned pro and embarked on a nearly 40-year career as a club professional. In 1964, Joe became head pro at Jefferson City Country Club in Jefferson City, Missouri, a position he held until he retired in 1991. To this day, the club holds a charity tournament named the Joe Jiminez Invitational. Joe was never a regular PGA Tour player, although he got into more than 30 tour events over the 30 years with one top 10 finish. He also played his way into 8 majors. He did win PGA of America events during the 50s and 60s, including the Midwest PGA Championship and Gateway PGA Championship, twice each, along with the South Central PGA Championship and the Missouri Open. His biggest non-senior golf victory was the 1960 Puerto Rico Open. Turning 50 was a huge boost to Joe's tournament golf career. The Champions Tour didn't yet exist, but Jimenez's biggest win was the 1978 Senior PGA Championship, a tournament now called a senior major. Joe won it with a birdie on the first playoff hole. He then later that year added the World Senior Championship title. After the Champions Tour launched in 1980, he began playing more tournament golf. He was a full-time tour presence from roughly the mid-1980s to the early 1990s. Joe made 320 starts on the Champions Tour without winning, which ranks in the top 5 for that stat. But Joe was already in his 60s when he began playing regularly on the Senior Tour, and very few Senior Tour golfers have ever won after the age of 60. Joe had a best finish on the Champions Tour money list of 22nd in 1986, and did post 2 runner-up tournament finishes. He won nearly $1.5 million.
Hello, I'm Mike Winter. I was first introduced to Joe Jimenez when I was a junior at the University of Missouri. There was an opening for an assistant golf professional at Jefferson City Country Club, and one of the members suggested I apply. I was fortunate to be hired and worked with Joe for over 4 years and later joined the club and continued our friendship. Joe was a great mentor and showed me what it was like to interact and work for members. He was one of those professionals who led by example in the way he treated others. As those of you in the golf business can attest, some members can be challenging, but you would have never known it from Joe. He treated them with great respect and seldom called them anything other than Mr. or Mrs. Joe's family was incredibly important to him. His wife Lydia staffed the pro shop and handled much of the merchandise, and their son Bill was always around the shop until he went away to college. Joe was always so quiet and unassuming that until you got to play golf with Joe, you didn't truly understand how talented he was. There is something about players of Joe's caliber that they all have an extra gear they can use. I'll always remember playing one day with Joe and a couple of the other scratch players. We were younger than Joe and had hit drives that we all thought were pretty good. Joe was hitting last, and when he was finished, none of us were within 20 yards of him. He just chuckled and said we must not have hit it very solid. He'd repeat this over and over in the hundreds of rounds we played together. It was a great lesson in life being around a player with more talent than anyone else, but you would have never heard Joe brag or say an unkind word. If Joe and his family were here to accept this honor of him being inducted into the Gateway section of the PGA Hall of Fame, he'd be humbled and likely say he didn't deserve this honor. I'm glad the section chose to honor Joe in this manner, and I'm sure he's smiling down from heaven saying, thank you.
It's an honor to say a few words about Gateway PGA Hall of Famer Joe Jimenez. I first heard of Joe when I was working for Dutch Harrison, and Dutch was involved with the playoff with Joe for the final spot in the United States Open qualifying. Dutch won the playoff for the final spot, but Dutch always spoke very highly of Joe. He respected Joe as a player, but even more so as a club professional and as a great human being. I met Joe for the first time when I went to Jeff City Country Club with Bob Jones. We had played a practice round for the Missouri Open, and Bob wanted to get over to Jeff City Country Club to have a practice round for the Gateway Section Championship, which was scheduled there that year. I'll never forget, we arrived and Joe took Bob in his office and probably spent 20 minutes to half an hour going over the intricacies of Jefferson City Country Club and making sure that Bob was comfortable and knew his way around. The thing about Joe, though, that's really incredible is through all these playing accomplishments, he retained his position at Jefferson City Country Club as the head golf professional. And he was a consummate professional, respected by all his peers. But he continued as the pro until 1991. So very proud to have known him and just amazed at all of his accomplishments. Very thankful to Mike Wensig for keeping the tradition that Joe started at Jeff City Country Club. And more recently to Kevin Dunn, who's done just a remarkable job of bringing all the accomplishments of Joe to the forefront and has done a great job at Jeff City Country Club of maintaining his legacy.